What is up, guys? Steven here. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. As I said yesterday in my video, I am going to be doing a team building video today. The goal of this video is not supposed to be an end-all be-all of this is how you make an OU team, but it's really just supposed to be more of an insight of how I go about making teams and my thought process while making teams. And I am just going to be starting from scratch. So really, whatever team comes out of this is honestly just on the fly, and I'm doing it that way because it will give you a true a true what's what I'm looking for, a true depiction, I guess, of my actual thought process while making a team, as opposed to just here's a team I made and here's why I put Pokemon on it. Alright, and the team you're looking at right now, I'm not going to show you all of the Pokemon because I don't want to reveal the sets because I spent like 4 hours making this team, and the sets are very specific and all that. But basically what I did is I tried to make an offensive baton pass team. Dennis's baton pass team is basically a defensive baton pass team. And yeah, I got up to the low 1900s with this team relatively quickly, relatively easily, which basically just tells me that baton pass is still broken. I can say from experience using this particular team as well as Dennis's team that 3 members is too many, so I'm still a little bit salty, but this team is it's pretty fun, and basically it's kind of weird being able to just win against top players in one turn with something like Smash Pass to Kyurem or something like that. But alright, enough of that. Let's get into this team build. Based off of the comments in the video yesterday, it seemed like most everyone wanted to build around Mega Gardevoir, so that is what we're going to do. I have built around Mega Gardevoir several times this generation, and it's not a bad Pokemon per se, but there are certainly other Megas that are better in the current metagame. Just a couple of examples. Mega Gyarados is a really good mon. Mega Pinsir is a really good mon. Trying to think of other Megas, the Charizards, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a bad Pokemon, and it's definitely usable in OU, don't get me wrong. So I am perfectly content to build around Gardevoir. Alright, so, you know, obviously it is going to be built around Mega Gardevoir. So we're going to start with Gardevoir holding the the Gardevoirite, because that allows it to Mega Evolve. And we are going to give it Trace. Trace is definitely the best ability of the 3 for Gardevoir, because it allows you to basically copy the opponent's ability when you switch in when you're regular Gardevoir. As you can see, when you are... Oh, let me look... Oh, sorry guys. Oh goodness, I can't type right now. Oh, come on. There we go. When you are Mega Gardevoir, you have to have Pixelate. 100% of the time, when you're Mega Evolved, you will have Pixelate regardless of which of the regular Gardevoir abilities you chose. So yeah, we have Gardevoir at the Gardevoirite with Trace. It's very useful for certain things like switching in on water absorb Pokemon, or it just has more utility than Synchronize, because you really don't want to be taking status at any point in the game anyway, and it just has more uses, like copying Heatran Flash Fire as they go for Lava Plume, stuff like that. So Basically, I want to build around offensive Mega Gardevoir because I think it's better than support Gardevoir. Gardevoir does get like Wish, which is pretty good, and it gets Heal Bell, and those are decent moves, but they're not really fitting for this metagame right now because there are Pokemon like Mega Venusaur that can come in and immediately threaten you and threaten the rest of your team. And I think offensive is better, and I like playing offensively, so I'm gonna make an offensive team. So the first move I'm gonna choose is Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is a base 90 normal type attack, but as I said earlier, you do get Pixelate, so with Hyper Voice plus Pixelate, that becomes a very powerful attack because you also get Stab on top of it, so that is really, really good. Next, I want dual Stab on this, so I'm going to run Psychic. The reason I'm running Psychic over Psyshock is because Pokemon like Assault Vest Conkeldeo are not really that common in the metagame anymore, and even if you do run into one of those, you actually beat it one-on-one anyway with Hyper Voice, so there's really no reason not to run Psychic. And even if you do run Psyshock, Eviolite Chansey is so bulky that it's really not going to do much damage anyway. So we're going to have to account for Chansey with other members of the team, as opposed to Gardevoir. Next, we're going to go with what I think is the best coverage move that Gardevoir gets, Focus Blast. The reason it's so good is it hits the Pokemon that basically resist its dual stab in the tier. Those being Heatran, it gets 2-hit KO'd, and Ferrothorn actually gets 2-hit KO'd as well, which is really nice. The other switch-ins to this Pokemon, other than Heatran and Ferrothorn, basically include Mega Scizor, which is a really big threat in the metagame right now, and Aegislash, which is also a really, really big threat in this metagame right now. So, basically, in the last slot, we have a lot of options. I'm not going to pick one of them yet. I'm going to wait to see how the team evolves. But we have several options. One is Hidden Power Fire. Another is Taunt. And lastly, we could run something like Will-O-Wisp or even Destiny Bond. Destiny Bond is a really cool option, and I've never actually run it on a team, but I think it would be interesting if you run it with something like Keldeo that really benefits from Mega Venusaur being gone, so you can kind of bait it in. I don't know how much you're going to bait in Mega Venusaur with Gardevoir, but it does hit you super effectively with Sludge Bomb, so they might, try to take you out. I don't know. I'm just talking right now, thinking about how I'm going to build this team. And next, going in EVs on this, the suggested spread is HP and special attack, but in my opinion that's kind of a bad option because Mega Gardevoir actually has respectable base speed of 100. The only caveat to that is if you run Hidden Power Fire like it has right now, then you're forced to run 31 or 30 speed EVs. So you lose out on speed tying with other base 100s like Manaphy and Celebi and all of those Pokemon. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to put 252 in each of these stats for now and 4 in defense. The reason I do that is because you want an odd HP number for every Pokemon because you actually take less from Stealth Rocks and Spikes on Switch-In, if I am remembering correctly. And I am going to put the minus in attack and zero attack IVs. That is for um, foul play and confusion. You do less damage. Less damage is dealt that way. And I'm not going to decide between modest or timid yet because we'll save that for later on the team. So, like I said, things that really threaten Mega Gardevoir, or at least can switch in on it, are Aegislash and Mega Scizor can definitely switch in basically 100% of the time. And pretty much any time I'm running a Pokemon like Mega Medicham or Gardevoir that basically gets walled by Aegislash, I feel like it's intelligent to run Pursuit Bisharp. Pursuit Bisharp is really one of the better Pokemon in the tier right now because it can take on Aegislash, and at the same time, it can. What's the word I'm looking for? It can trap defoggers, which is nice. So, some common defoggers, aka Latias and Latios. It can't really switch on stuff like Zapdos, but that's fine. You can just put offensive pressure on those Pokemon. So, taking a sip of water. I've been talking for 11 minutes. So, Defiant is definitely the best ability on Bisharp. Basically, anytime one of your stats get dropped, your attack gets boosted by 2 stages. So if someone comes in and intimidates you, you get boosted up to +1. If someone uses defog and they lower your evasion, then you actually get +2 of attack, which is why Bisharp is such a good Pokemon, because it really blocks hazards from being defogged away. So I am just going to run the standard moveset on Pursuit Bisharp, that being Knockoff, Sucker Punch, Pursuit, and Iron Head. Iron Head is really good for dealing with the fairies in the tier, like Clefable, which otherwise can kind of set up and ruin teams. And all 3 forms of Dark-type attacks are extremely useful on Bisharp. Knockoff is a very good attack because it basically is one of the best moves in Gen 6 right now, because not only does it get a power boost when you hit someone that has an item, but at the same time it is stab and they lose their item. So really it's an amazing move for this Pokemon. And we have Sucker Punch, which is good because it's the first form of priority on this team. And I normally like on offensive teams, which this team kind of seems like it's going to become, I like running at least 3 types of priority on the team. If I'm not running priority, that means that I'm running bulky offense, which can take hits and kill in return, which is good. Pursuit is there, like I said, for trapping Aegislashes as well as Latias, and also you can use it to hit Chanseys that are trying to switch out because they don't want to get knocked off, which is just really good, wearing those Pokemon down. And finally, like I said, Iron Head is just a really good, it's definitely a really good option on Bisharp, as it is stab and it has good coverage with Dark. So I am just gonna run. I'm not gonna run Jolly Bisharp. I'm gonna run Adamant, and once again, I'm gonna put the 4 EVs in defense because of the odd HP number, which is better. All right. So at this point, we have Gardevoir and we have Bisharp. Things that can threaten Bisharp, or at least set up on it, also include Mega Scizor, which, as I said earlier, Gardevoir does not like at all. And actually a pretty cool option for taking out Scizor is Keldeo. But what I am going to do right now is kind of just look through the list of Pokemon and see what kind of catches my eye, if that makes sense. Rotom Wash is a very good answer for Scizor. It can burn it, which kind of lowers its usefulness. But if I remember correctly, the spread that Mega Scizor runs right now can actually just set up to +6 on Rotom Wash, even if they are burned and kill with knockoff. Don't quote me on that, but I am pretty sure that they can do that. So maybe that's not the best option. Another option is running Heatran, but Heatran shares a lot of the same weaknesses with Bisharp, so that doesn't really seem to make sense for oh goodness, doesn't really seem to make sense synergy wise. So as you saw, my other team had HP Fire Aegislash because it baits in Scizor, which is cool. And we could end up running HP Fire Gardevoir for the Scizor bait, but we will see. Huh. To be completely honest, I am just going to run Keldeo. Keldeo is definitely really, really cool in this meta right now. It does a lot of work against basically a lot of teams. It's so good. And I kind of want to try sub-Salad Keldeo, but I don't know if that actually makes sense on this team. I'm just going to run Choice Specs because the power is very real. And I run Hydro Pump and Scald as dual stab because basically those are the best two options. And when it comes to the last attack, there are actually a lot of possibilities. Hidden Power Electric is a good option. Hidden Power Flying is also a good option. Icy Wind if you want to prevent Latios/Latias from coming in and defogging, because you hit them with the Icy Wind and they become slower than you, so you can actually 2-hit KO them before they get the defog off. And those are all good options. HP Grass is also an option, but I don't think it's a particularly good option. And I actually have seen some Keldeos running Toxic to hit like the Latias and Latios that are coming in on them. So that's kind of cool. So for now I'm going to leave that blank once again. And looking at the team so far, it definitely seems to appreciate hazards. There are definitely teams that don't really want you. On offensive teams, the key to winning is forcing the opponent to switch around on hazards. The reason I say this is if you're playing a very well-built stall team, then they have Pokemon to deal with basically all of the relevant threats in OU. But if you are running hazards and you don't let them blow them away, basically in order for them to get a free switch to get rid of your hazards, they're going to have to sack something, basically. So what I am going to do is go back to standard.team, and I'm going to copy this Deoxys defense from there, and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to change the item to Mental Herb because I think Mental Herb is better. But I'm going to explain this set. Stealth Rock plus Spike for hazard stacking, Taunt to prevent the opponent from setting up like Dragon Dances, Sword Dances, stuff like that, or also to prevent them from getting up their own hazards. And finally, Superpower. Superpower is a really cool option with this EV spread. What it does is it actually can OHKO any Bisharp that carries up to 32 HP EVs, which is basically that's basically the maximum amount of HP you can run on Bisharp. Because if you run more than that, then your speed is low enough that you become kind of irrelevant, if that makes sense. Superpower also gets 2-hit KOs on Pokemon like Sash Crawdont leads that think that they can set up a Swords Dance on your Deoxys. So that is definitely cool. And I believe if you get a good damage roll, or not even a good damage roll, I believe you 2-hit KO Excadrill after a Stealth Rock. So, early game people are going to try to go into their Stealth Rock on your Deoxys to just, repetitively spin. But you can actually superpower them and 2-hit KO them. So that is definitely a really cool option as well. So at this point, yes, we are running Bisharp, and I know I know some people don't like that because it's quote-unquote standard, and Deoxys defense is actually being suspected right now, and I really don't think that it should be banned. I think you can definitely play around Deoxys defense. If you end up using this team, you'll see that Deoxys defense is really good at getting up hazards, but that doesn't mean that they're either guaranteed or that you can't be played around or defogged against later in the game. So basically, what I'm trying to say is be careful with your Deoxys. Also, this Pokemon is not broken, but Deoxys speed is definitely broken. So, well, I'm sure after the results come out from those votes, I will make a discussion video because I really I said Deoxys speed should have been banned when they suspected it with Genesect earlier in the gen, but whatever. Back to this team. So once again, Deoxys does pretty poorly against Mega Scizor. So it's looking like Gardevoir might want to run Hidden Power Fire to lure that in, because it would definitely be an OHKO, and Keldeo can come in on Heatran if it gets a free switch on an HP Fire. So yeah, that seems like a pretty decent option. So I am going to go to Gardevoir, and I am just going to confirm that it is Hidden Power Fire. And looking at the team, it is relatively, I'll say relatively slow. It's not the slowest team, but it's certainly not too great at being fast. But since we are running HP Fire, and we're not going to outspeed, I'm going to run Timid anyway, and let me try to explain why. Basically, there's a threat in the tier, and its name is Kyurem Black, and it can run a substitute set, and it's base 95 speed. So if we run max speed on this Mega Gardevoir, we're going to outspeed it, and we're going to OHKO it with Hyper Voice through its substitute, because sound moves go through substitute. So that definitely seems like a good option. Alright, so that is going well. So we have hazard support in Bisharp, and we have offensive pressure in these two, as well as Bisharp. Bisharp's a pretty cool guy. Keldeo does work. And looking at the team, I'm still not entirely sure what I want to put in the last slot, because Gardevoir actually can kind of come in on Latios, as can Bisharp. So I'm trying to think what we want this Keldeo to hit. Mega Venusaur seems like a decent option with Hidden Power Flying, but I'm still going to leave that blank for now. So, like I said, the team is kind of slow, and I feel like a Pokemon that would go really well, synergy-wise, with this team is Landorus-T. As I said in one of my videos the other day, Choice Scarf Landorus-T is one of my favorite Pokemon in the tier right now. What it can do very well is one, regain momentum with U-turn. U-turn is really good on Landorus because it honestly has a lot of power, and it, it's so fast, and it has such a useful ability in Intimidate, and it's immune to ground and electric, which is kind of, a really good combination. In addition, it can check stuff like Choice Banded Talonflame. It can check stuff like Mega Pinsir. It can check stuff like Dragon Dance Mega Tyranitar. Which I guess Keldeo can too, but you need more than one check for Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good Pokemon, and I would definitely suggest running Jolly. I think that's better. And again, the reason I'm putting 4 in this is because it's an odd HP number, as well as the fact that most of the priority in the tier is like Mach Punch or Ice Shard or Sucker Punch or Brave Bird, and that's the priority in the tier, so you might as well buff your defense to try to live the priority better. I know it doesn't really matter, it's 1 point, but that's just how I do it. Alright, so the problem with adding the problem with adding Landers at this point is it does kind of make the team even more weak to Mega Mega Scizor. Bulky Mega Scizor, SD Mega Scizor is definitely a huge threat in the metagame, and it actually it actually sets up on Landers because Landers Earthquake is not a 2-hit KO, so it can SD and then roost back up, and that's no good. And another thing that I see is we don't really have an incredibly reliable way of switching in and killing Mega Venusaur. Landorus is definitely nice because it's a reliable switch in, somewhat reliable, to Excadrill, which is always nice because Sandrush is so popular right now. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put Hidden Power Flying on this Keldeo because that is a 2-hit KO on Venusaur after Rocks, which hopefully you will have because you have a Deoxys defense on your team, so you should be set there. And Landers is a great Pokemon, and we gotta find a good last Mon. Looking at the team, we really don't have a win condition, so it would be nice to have a win condition, and at the same time, it might be nice to have hazard support, but looking at the team, it's not really that weak to hazards, and you can taunt and just keep offensive pressure to prevent that. So, thinking of good win conditions in the tier, Nasty Plot Thundurus is a very good Pokemon. And it kind of helps with speed. So yeah, let's add Thundurus. And what I actually want to do is we're going to run Life Orb, of course, with Prankster, and so yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to run Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Ice, Psychic, and Nasty Plot. Psychic actually gives really good coverage with HP Ice and Thunderbolt because it hits stuff like Mega Venusaur, it hits Amoonguss, it hits basically those two Pokemon, which are really annoying in the tier right now. And yeah, I think that makes sense. Thinking of Pokemon on the team that can basically switch in and take on Chansey on stall teams, Bisharp can definitely do that. Keldeo can take it on. I was thinking about making this mixed Thunders, which is still a decent option. If you want to make this mixed Thunders, I would just change this to like T-Wave plus superpower or something like that, and then change this to minus Spadef nature. But yeah, I think that makes sense. And yeah, guys, like I said at the beginning, this isn't an end-all be-all guide to making teams, but I figured that this would be a good way just kind of to show my thought process when making uh, teams in OU. And this team is probably not perfect, but definitely feel free to try it out on the ladder. Make tweaks. Let me know what's good about it, what's bad about it, and I'm gonna leave the paste bin of the team in the description. So definitely check that out, guys. And thank you for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like and a comment. Those are, I know I say this every video, but I really do, I read all of your comments and I really do appreciate them. So, thank you very much for all the support I've been getting, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.